Hello everyone. This is the last learning objective of week 11. In this learning objective, we explain how to assess the performance of an international investment. In previous videos, we have discussed the idea of how we can decompose overall portfolio excess return into two different components, security selection and asset allocation. Now we can extend this idea of performance attribution to look at assessing performance of an internationally diversified portfolio. Within the context of international portfolio performance attribution, we are considering four key factors. These are currency selection, country selection, stock selection, and cash and bond selection. So let's see an example. This is an example of an international diversified portfolio of a US investors. So the investor has invested in three different components like Europe, Australia, and Asia. These are the benchmark weights allocated in these three different continents, 30%, 10%, and 60%. And these are the return earned on those continents. And these are the currency appreciation of the US dollar compared to the other countries, other continents. And these are the manager's weight. I mean, the weight that is actually implemented by the investor, 35% in Europe, 10% in Australia, and 55% in Far East. And these are the return earned by the portfolio manager. Now, let's calculate overall performance. Generally, we know that we calculate the performance by multiplying weight with the corresponding return and we sum them up. Now, since we have two components, one is the return earned by the portfolio, another is the return earned by the exchange changes, so we need to incorporate both of them. For example, for the benchmark, 30% is the weight in Europe, 10% is the return earned by the equity index, and 10% is the return for currency appreciation. And then 10% is Australian index, 5% is the return earned, and negative 10% is the currency appreciation, and 60% in Asia, 15% is the return earned by the equity, and 30% is from the currency appreciation. So the overall return earned by the benchmark portfolio is 32.5%, whereas the managed portfolio is 32.4%. So you can see that the managed portfolio underperformed by 0.10%. Now we will see how we can decompose these return difference between the currency selection, country selection, and stock selection. So first of all is currency selection. You can see that these are the 30% is the weight of Europe and 10% is the currency appreciation, as well as then 10% is the weight and the negative 10% is the currency appreciation, and 60% is the weight and 30% is the currency appreciation. So for the benchmark portfolio, 20% is the appreciation, and for the managed portfolio, 19% is the appreciation. In the case of current country selection, so again, we multiply the country weights with the corresponding return. For example, 30% is the weight, 10% is the return earned by that portfolio, 10% is the return earned, 10% is the weight for Australia, and 5% is the return earned. So the country selection actually generated a return of 12.5% for the benchmark portfolio and 12.25% for the managed portfolio. And last of all is the stock selection. Here we differentiate between the manager's return and the return earned by the benchmark portfolio. So 8% minus 10% multiplied by the portfolio weight, I mean the managed portfolio weight, plus 7% minus 5% multiplied by the manager's portfolio weight, and last of all 18% minus 15% multiplied by the 55% is the weight of the Asia, and the difference is 1.15%. So you can see that in the case of currency selection, the managed portfolio underperformed by 1%. Using the country selection, the managed portfolio underperformed by 0.25%. However, for a stock selection, the managed portfolio overperformed by 1.15%. And if we combine all of these three, we can see the managed portfolio underperformed by 0.10%. So this is how we can attribute the difference between the returns of a managed portfolio and the benchmark portfolio to these different factors. That's all of our discussion in this week. Thank you very much.